Good afternoon. Welcome to the March 1st formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council. We'll begin with an invocation from Police Chaplain Robert Fesmeyer.
You're welcome to join me in prayer. Almighty God, thank you for today, a gift never to be taken for granted, for renewed strength and the courage to do good, to be kind, and to make a difference in someone's life regardless of their ability to do that for ourselves. You are the one that taught us the sacred call to mourn with those who mourn, rejoice with those who rejoice. Cause each of us to reflect that which is right, that which is good, true, and worthy. And may we show gratitude for all you provide and are able to keep because of those protectors you have called and set apart for us. Bless all those gathered here with truth and wisdom as you bless them in acting upon the wisdom that you give. For we pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Councilwoman Pastor, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call to order the formal meeting. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio? Here. Councilmember Garcia?
Here.
Councilwoman Guardado?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Brien?
Here.
Councilwoman Pastor?
Here.
Councilwoman Stark?
Here.
Councilman Waring? Vice Mayor Ansari? Mayor Gallego?
Here. Carmen Cota is with us to provide Spanish interpretation. Carmen, would you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. My name is Carmen Cota. I will be providing interpretation for our Spanish-speaking audience. Please give me a minute to introduce myself to them. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Carmen Cota. Yo les serviré de intérprete esta tarde. Por favor, si van a usarme, hable con claridad, pause después de cada cita para que me permitan interpretar de la manera más eficiente posible. Gracias. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Will the city clerk read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G7079 through 7086, S49442 through 49484, and resolutions 22101 through 22103.
Thank you. I'll next turn to our city attorney to explain public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the council. General comments that go beyond the scope of the agenda item must be made in the citizen comment session at the end of the agenda. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending investigations, claims, or litigation. The City Code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose the opportunity to continue to speak.
Thank you so much. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion on item 1?
I'm taking that role, right? All right. Motion to approve mayor and city council boards and commissions nominations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mike Norton is here to address the council. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, Mayor Gallego. I appreciate that you allow us to do that. I speak today on behalf of the members of the Rogers Ranch community of the village of Levine. Normally, if we were seeking to introduce some type of activity that was necessary for the community, we would try to get one of our members who could advocate on behalf of the community appointed to one of the boards or committees. But in this case, the Parks and Recreation Board is full. There are 8 members, one of whom is the executive director. All the positions are full. This is the 20th year that the Rogers Ranch Park property has sat dormant in the center of the Rogers Ranch community.
And you really have to connect it
2002,
to
it
the,
was
the motion. So do you think we should
We
approve or
request that
disapprove?
the City Council advise the current board members to prioritize the development of the Rogers Ranch Park and the Levine Area Conveyance Channel, which has sat dormant for 20 years.
And Mike, we would love it if you would speak in the public comment, which would be a perfect venue for this very important concern. And we really thank you for your attendance. Councilwoman Pastor.
I do have a comment on regarding boards and commission, and particularly Vision Zero. I am glad to say that staff heard the community. I want to thank Alan, Mario, and Keeney for listening to the community of wanting to add students to Vision Zero, and there will be a process, so I'm encouraging students to participate and sign up as there is a process. The meeting will begin. They will select the students, and then after that they will have, students will be coming, or I guess they won't be a voting body, but they will be able then to start participating on the Vision Zero. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very exciting boards and commissions vote today. We are appointing several important positions ranging from Judicial Selection Advisory position to Block Watch, and then the entire Vision Zero Advisory Council, who will help us make sure we have safer streets for all, and we are so thankful to you who are helping us with this essential life-saving activity. So thank you for serving our community. Any additional comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Passes unanimously. And now we will swear in our boards and commission members, and thank you again for serving our community. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of, state your office, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations on your appointments. So pleased to have you.
I got one that color that looks better on you. Hey, Michael. Oh.
Congratulations again to our newest commissioners. Thank you for your service. We'll next turn to the liquor license portion of our agenda. The City Council provides an advisory role to the state of Arizona on liquor licenses. Councilwoman Pastor, do you have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve items 2 through 30, except item 30.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, noting that we have people available to speak in support if needed on 7, 8, and 14, but not needing to speak if we're all in support. Any questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio? Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark? Waring?
Yes.
Ansari? Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
We next move to item 30, which is an item in District 1, so I will turn to Councilwoman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I move to disapprove item 30.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments?
Mayor, if I may, this would be to recommend disapproval to the state. Is that correct, Councilwoman O'Brien?
Yes, thank you for correcting
Thank you
me.
very much.
And do we need to note this is based on the Finance Department's recommendation for disapproval?
Yes, Mayor,
Yes.
thank you.
Second.
I don't see any comments. We do not have any speakers registered. Roll call.
DeCiccio? Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Ansari? Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
City Clerk, are we ready for ordinances, resolutions, new business, planning, and zoning?
Yes, Mayor.
Acting Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
I know, many titles today. Motion to approve items 31 through 100, except the following. Items 31, 40, 48, 55, 98, 99, and 100. Noting that item 87 is being continued to March 22nd, 2023. Item 94 is being continued to May 3rd, 2023. Items 99 and 100 are as revised and excluding these items for virtual public comment. Items 57 and 100. And can the clerk confirm if there are any other items that should be excluded for in-person public comment?
Mayor, members of the council, no other items need to be excluded. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor? Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Ansari? I apologize, Vice Mayor. I couldn't hear that.
Yes.
Thank you. Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next turn to the payment ordinance. Our first item is the American Association of Airport Executives for a conference. Vice Mayor. 31.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? There's an exciting opportunity for a conference in Phoenix highlighting sustainability, where our airport has been a leader and has an ambitious net zero goal of 2040. So I'll look forward to supporting this item. Roll call.
DeCiccio? Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
No.
Ansari?
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Item 40 is the National Association of City Transportation Officials. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve, item 40.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio?
No.
Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
No.
Ansari?
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
We next turn to 48, which is related to federal legislative representation and consulting services. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Item 55 is housing revenue bonds for affordable housing at the Foothills Village Apartments in District 7. I will turn to Vice Mayor Ansari.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited about this item. At the beginning of this month, we approved up to $30 million in bond funding for the Pueblo Apartments, which will bring 161 units of affordable housing to South Central. And today we are approving another $5 million in bond funding for the Foothills Village, which will bring an additional 200 units. More affordable housing stock is critical for the entire city and especially South Phoenix, where residents are understandably concerned about displacement due to light rail construction and new development. We're adding 361 affordable units to the mix, with more on the way soon. I'm proud that we've been working with the South Phoenix community to make sure it stays a place where residents can afford to live, work, and play. And with that, I motion to approve item 55.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
It's an exciting meeting for housing on multiple levels, including we have 1,977 entitlements of units of housing, as well as several other related items. Item 57 is portable malfunction cardiac monitor defibrillators contract. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We do have one request to speak on this item. Haley Mills, the floor is yours.
Hello, I would like to say that I'm full support of this motion to improve the cardiac monitors. I have personally used a portable cardiac monitor, and they are very helpful in and life-saving to those in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to the planning and zoning portion of our agenda. We have two items, 98 and 99, that are related items concerning the northeast corner of 63rd Avenue and Dobbins Road, so we will hear them jointly but have two individual votes. We will begin with a brief staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. The subject property for both requests is a 66.10 acre site located at the northeast corner of 63rd and Dobbins in Council District 7. Item 98 is GPA LV-3-21-7, a request to amend the general plan land use map from commercial and mixed use to mixed use. The Levine VPC heard the request on January 9th and voted approval per the staff recommendation by a vote of 7-0. The Planning Commission heard the request on February 2nd, 2023 and recommended approval per the Levine VPC by a vote of 9-0. Staff recommends approval of item 98 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related resolution. Item 99 is Z35-21-7, a request to rezone the site from various commercial zoning districts to a planned unit development to allow for single-family, multifamily, retail, office, and commerce park uses. The Levine VPC heard the case on January 9th and recommended approval per the staff recommendation with modifications and additional stipulations by a 7-1 vote. The Planning Commission heard the case on February 2nd and recommended approval per the Levine VPC with modifications and a deleted stipulation by an 8-1 vote. Staff recommends approval per the February 27th, 2023 memo from the Planning and Development Director and adoption of the related ordinance. Mayor, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, we will open the public hearing. and this is for 98 and 99. We do not have any members of the public to testify, so we will close the public hearing, and I'll turn to Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I just very excited about this project as well. I wanted to thank Josh, the applicant, the Levine Village Planning Committee members, community members, and my office have been working on this project for many, many months now. And we are excited that this will bring a 66-acre mixed-use development that is fit for and strengthens the vision that residents have wanted for the Levine Village core and the 202 Tech Corridor. We're bringing housing, sit-down restaurants, employment opportunities, an EV demonstration project, a 10,000 square foot open space area with a splash pad and more. And I look forward to continuing to work with the applicant to deliver on those elements. So with that, motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related resolution for number 98.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give Vice Mayor Ansari credit for all the work. I've been following the project and thankful for the developers and the community who were able to get together and make this work. And I'm looking forward to seeing this kind of collaboration as we continue to work through what's happening in Levine. So I'm in support of the item.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio? Yes. Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark? Waring?
Yes.
Ansari?
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Item 99, Vice Mayor Ansari.
Thank you. Motion to approve per the February 27th, 2023 memo from the Planning and Development Director and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio? Yes. Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Ansari?
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next go to item 100, the source of income ordinance. We have a large number of members of the public to speak on this item. I think it is the right step, but I want to apologize for folks who just saw the language for the first time yesterday, who've been coming here for several months in some cases, and we just got the language available yesterday. That would not have been my preference, especially since many people have given us many hours of their time. Councilman DeCiccio was the first to bring this forward, so I'll turn to him.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to make a motion. I move to approve ordinance G.
And I apologize. The clerk reminded me we need to read the title.
There you go.
Mayor, members of the council, item 100 is for ordinance G 7086, an ordinance amending chapter 18 of the Phoenix City Code relating to fair housing.
Councilman DeCiccio, you're on a roll.
Thank you, Mayor. I was waiting for the lead. And thank you for that, Mayor. And I'll make comments after we've gone through some of the motions and stuff. But I move to approve ordinance G 7086 to amend chapter 18 of the Phoenix City Code to prohibit housing discrimination based on a renter's source of income, and that the City of Phoenix delays enforcement until such time as the Attorney General completes its reconsideration of the 1487 Report 22002 and all related matters, questions, or disputes come to a final resolution, at which time the ordinance will come back to the City Council if necessary. That means if the Attorney General has approved it and we're good the way we go forward that way. If not, then we have to come back and make the changes here. Additionally, that we remove or buyer of housing in the definition of source of income. And it's critical on this part here. The Phoenix Board of Realtors, which is the largest organization out there when it comes to the real estate industry, will be supportive of this. And I don't think this has happened anywhere in the state now where the real estate agents have come out in full support with this small modification. Thank you, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mayor?
Councilmember was that Councilman Ansari? I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Ansari, thank you. Councilman Pastor.
It's all right. Is Councilmember Garcia? I heard you call on him first.
Okay, Councilmember Garcia.
It's okay. Yeah, so I guess I'll go for it. I move to approve ordinance G7086. Oh, so it's a substitute motion. Move to approve ordinance G7086 to amend Chapter 18 of the Phoenix City Code to prohibit housing discrimination based on renters or buyers' source of income, and that the City of Phoenix delays enforcement until such time as the AZ Attorney General completes its recommendation of the 1487 report 22002 and all related matters, questions, or disputes come to a final resolution, at which time the ordinance will come back to City Council. The shift here, or the difference between the previous motion and this motion, is that it would add buyers. I think staff has worked hard on this, and it had been available for the last week, and so I hope we can take staff's recommendation and push for the secondary motion. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Garcia, and I think I heard Councilwoman Guardado first. And so the difference between the two motions is whether or not it applies to buyers. All right. Anything from staff before we go to public comment? All right. I recognize Councilwoman Pastor.
This is for our attorney regarding the second motion and placing the language, let me see, or buyer's source of income. What is your opinion on keeping buyer's source of income?
Mayor and Councilmember Pastor, so you can keep the buyer's source of income. The ordinance itself will still apply to the sale and rental. But if you keep the buyer's source of income, my understanding was a concern on whether that would apply to like different kinds of federal housing loans. So federal law would still supersede the city code, and this would not affect those types of loans.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Along that line of the delineation between renter and buyer, the sources of incomes, the way the ordinance was originally in our book, is that it would apply to both. And while I realize federal law would supersede, would it prevent somebody from filing a lawsuit against a real estate agent, realtor, or a lender?
Mayor and council member, so no, our city code would not prevent a lawsuit. So obviously this city code applies to allegations of discrimination that would come through our EOD department and then be handled like this. So this would not prevent anyone from filing any kind of lawsuit.
Okay, so even in the event that those types of income may not qualify for getting a mortgage or paying a mortgage, it would not prevent somebody from filing a lawsuit against somebody that believes this law applies to them.
Mayor and council, so certainly if somebody questions the intent of this code provision or questions how this would apply, then we would certainly have to deal with that question.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And I want to thank my colleagues. A supermajority of the council put forward a letter supporting source of income protections. We will begin with in-person comments, and we'll begin with Linda Simmons, followed by Magali Martinez. Sains.
name is Linda Simmons, and I live at Desert Meadows apartment that is owned by the city of Phoenix. It's affordable housing. I've been there like 25 years, and we're now having a really big issue with the property management, Dunlap and McGee, not keeping us safe. We've had 3 fires there. The affordability is no longer available. They're renting it as market rent. If you can afford market rent, they're giving 2 bedrooms up to a single person, which we had received letters from the city saying they wouldn't do, they needed to keep it for families, but it's no longer that way. We have the police there every day. For instance, today's rent day. There is absolutely no management in the property to collect our rent today. We never know if there's going to be a manager there or when they're going to be there. It's become very unsafe. The police are there regularly. The city's putting in people with disabilities of different types, which is fine, except they're case managed and they're not being when there's an issue, management won't do anything about it.
And
the
ma'am,
police,
could you connect us to our agenda item? Do you think we should vote yes on source of income because of that?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. The affordability has become an issue. Like, we have people that, including myself, my husband's been real ill, and so now, the income is raising so much higher, they don't take those things in consideration anymore, I guess is what I should say. And we'd like to, we have residents that could work but now become disabled, and when we do our recertification, they don't take that in consideration. They say you will never go down. But if it's affordable housing based on your income, they should go by your income. So please vote yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Really appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
We know it's very hard to testify before the council, and these are very hard and personal issues that affect everyone's daily life. We have an item for public comment on any topic, and we would welcome testimony on that. But for this particular item, it's important to connect housing stories to why this particular tool is helpful, and then we'd welcome broad discussion of housing and on the call to the public, which will follow this item. After our current speaker, we will go to Michelle Ashton.
Hello. Good afternoon, council members, Mayor Gallego. My name is Magali Martinez Sainz. Everyone here agrees this ordinance is necessary to prevent housing discrimination. That is what we all want out of today. The Phoenix Realtors' concern and attempt to delay this important vote is based on an objection that is specific to home buyers. This concern is a last-minute technicality to delay the vote, and we believe they're wrong. We trust that this is an issue that county attorney can address after the ordinance is passed. We look to city council members supporting this ordinance to do the right thing and vote on this issue today. Every day this vote is delayed is another day of eligibility loss for voucher holders, increasing the possibility of having to live unhoused.
Our communities cannot wait.
Michelle is next, followed by Arisabeth Valenzuela.
My name is Michelle Ashton, and I work with older adults who are looking for housing. We need you to vote yes on this ordinance. It's far long overdue. There is no options left available for the clients that I work with and many, many, many other residents here in the Phoenix area. You cannot, the raise of the rent is too high. They can't afford it on lower incomes, set incomes with Social Security. How is somebody supposed to afford 2.5 times the rent on a Social Security income? It's impossible. It's just frankly impossible. There's many, many instances of actions that are discrimination in disguise, And many of these individuals are left losing their vouchers, left homeless. It is extremely difficult on those that are older adults to be homeless, but it's extremely difficult for anyone to be homeless. And I don't know if you guys can try and place yourselves in their shoes. I try to all the time, and it's scary. You know, it's not asking much, and it shouldn't be an issue for any of these landlords for this to pass, if they're operating well within moral values, but even, I won't say with the law, but in just what is right for individuals just trying to find shelter.
Audisbeth is next, followed by Kevin.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Arisbeth Valenzuela. I'm the Civic Engagement Organizer with Mi Familia Vota here in Phoenix. We're a nonpartisan national civic engagement organization that unites Latino, immigrant, and allied communities to promote social and economic justice. We are here today to support Ordinance G-7086. As it stands, this housing ordinance would effectively put an end to income discrimination and would rightly stop landlords from turning away thousands of residents who receive housing assistance or other types of government aid. In 2022, Mi Familia Vota, in partnership with Unidos US, conducted a survey with Latino voters. Within this study, the top 5 issues that constituents believe that should be addressed by elected officials were inflation, the rising cost of living, alongside the lack of affordable housing and high rents, which are highly intersectional within themselves. Having our community members continuously voice that Arizona is becoming largely inaccessible as the cost of living increases should be a key indicator of what needs to be prioritized by you all. The city of Phoenix has the biggest housing voucher program in Arizona, yet over 16,000 residents are currently on a 3 to 5 year wait list to obtain a voucher, and once they get the voucher, they are presented with both time constraints and discrimination from landlords. For thousands of Arizonan working families, the voucher program ends up being a long wait with long-term ramifications, as many individuals who cannot obtain housing face housing insecurity as a result. Voucher programs were designed to eliminate concentrations of poverty to provide low-income households with greater access to economic security and justice. Yet the intended purpose has been proven unsuccessful as landlords continue to burden those who just want accessible housing. Phoenix City Council has the ability to make an impact in the community by streamlining an already difficult process by eliminating its biggest barrier, income discrimination perpetuated by landlords. Voters have repeatedly decided that they want and need housing and tenant protections addressed. That is why constituents elect officials who will support policies that will help them and their families and not create more obstacles. This is why Mi Familia Vota urges the City Council to support Ordinance G-7086. Thank you.
Kevin is next, followed by Carmen.
Hello, my name is Kevin Kansas. I work here in the Valley as a therapist at a clinic that treats autism. And what I've learned working in this field is that with the right resources and support, any person can live a valuable life and can live a life that's enjoyable and be a productive member of society. And yet, you know, when a lot of these individuals grow up, they lose the support that they grew up with. And a lot of them end up on the streets, you know, and they are dependent on these voucher programs, and they are dependent on the city to make sure, or to ensure that they have housing. And, you know, like, thank you. You know, the system fails a lot of people. Just down the street in the zone, there's thousands of people who are living in tents and who don't have housing. And fixing that problem, you know, is going to take a lot of work, and it's going to be very hard. But something that the City Council can do today is pass this ordinance and make sure and prevent people from prevent more people from ending up in the zone and ensure that more people can secure housing for themselves. So please pass this ordinance. Thank you.
Carmen is next, followed by Audrey. Carmen Terrell or Terrell? Okay.
Okay, so good afternoon to Mayor and City Council members. My name is Carmen Terrell, and I had a speech prepared today, but it was off-centered, so I'm just going to do this on my own. But this ordinance needs to be passed because, like everyone else is agreeing with, that it will just help people that don't make so-called fair market value incomes, but also, too, I just see it as if, you know, everyone has life issues come up, and no one knows ever what may happen to them in the future, because one day some can afford something, then another day they can't. And I remember the last time I was up here to speak, I was talking about sad shame, and I put it on all different kind of angles on it, because it can happen to anybody in the sound of my voice. And also, I just think, too, that the dialogue also needs to be changed from affordable housing to low-income housing, because what's affordable for someone else may not be affordable to me. Because if you can't make rent, then how can you do anything else if you can't make rent if you're not on the street? And too many people are criminalized for this stuff, and that's very traumatizing. And I just get so tired of these issues coming up. So please just support this ordinance, and let's stop the corporate crap and just do it. Thank you.
Audrey is next, followed by Jesse.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Audrey Andrews, and I love the country that my dad loved and the flag that he served in the military, probably World War I and II. I don't know, he was so old. And 3 of my 5 sons also served, and 3 of them are on disability from the military, but they also work. And then one of my other sons has disability. And so he gets money. But so far, everyone's doing well. But when my one son goes to look for housing again, because they have their families that they support as well, and they rent still, well, 3 of them still rent. And it just takes everything that they have to be able to find a nice place somewhere. And they're veterans, and they should be able to not have their money turned away or their income turned away, which is from work and disability. So far, so good, but Arizona is one of the youngest states in the nation, but it also, I understand, has the highest rank of rents going up. And I know my family coming here years ago, we lived here for a year, and it was just people moved here because of the affordability of this state. And so, but now it's like almost higher than California's rents as they go, the increase. And so I just ask that you all pass the law so that people can be able to afford housing. I have a friend at the senior citizen place. She has 4 homes. She told me yesterday, she said she has 4 homes. When people rent there, Their rent never goes up, and when they leave there, they paying the same rent as when they started, and bless her heart. So I'm just asking you to think of people that have served our country, that are trying to make it, and that want to buy homes, although, you know, the kids didn't listen, they should have bought homes years ago, but oh well, but so, and they have mates, and they're making it, but thank you.
Jesse is next, followed by Catherine. Do we have Jesse Aranda here? We do not. Okay, Catherine is next, followed by Yolanda.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor Gallegos and members. My name is Catherine Wilkins. I come to you today because I am a disabled senior citizen, still alive. But I tell you this because I really want you to say yes to this because it means so much. I was almost homeless, and I mean homeless, if it wasn't for my daughter. That's her standing behind me right now. If I didn't have her, but many people don't have people that they can depend on. They have no one. And when they tell you about these assistance programs, I don't know if any of you have ever been on the phone and called them. It's terrible. You do not get any help. There's no money at the first, the middle, the end, in between the month. They never have any money to help out at all. And when you go to these apartments like I was living in, all of a sudden they're like, well, how are you going to make your rent? How, you know, they look at my income and they're like, well, we want you to pay 3 times more, be able to make 3 times more than what you're making now. And I'd say to them, if I was doing that, I wouldn't be here with you, you know? But they don't realize that. This is so important to people that they're not homeless. Because I took a ride down on Madison, and I saw all the homeless people, and I have friends down there now, and that could be me. That could be somebody in your family. I mean, I hope not, but somebody that you know might could do that. So I ask you, please, please pass this. Thank you.
Yolanda is next, followed by Regina.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor Gallegos and council members. Thank you for hosting us today. As you can tell, we're just regular people, law-abiding citizens who want to be able to be independent, want to be able to take care of ourselves and be able to do it pridefully. As one of my sisters just mentioned, every day this vote is delayed is another day of eligible lost voucher holders. One day closer to the possibility of having unhoused people. Our community cannot wait. We voted for our elected officials to lead, you all. Not to wait for leadership of others, okay? We voted for you all to make these decisions on our behalf, okay? We trust you. Even those who didn't and weren't vocal in supporting this ordinance, we believe that you are here for us and you're here for the people, okay? We can take action. We can take action today without Tucson, and we should. Okay? The overwhelming majority of the council members, including Madam Mayor Gallegos, have signed the letter supporting the Fair Housing Ordinance. Now it's time for you all to codify them into the law for our city. And I'm relying on you all to do that. Not for just me, but for my mother, because my mother was in law enforcement. She was a case manager for Value Options. She worked as a correctional officer at Adobe Mountain. She's put in her time. And for my mom to have to come to me and tell me that she can no longer afford to live on her own and she reaches out to me to help her, it becomes a pride issue. I'm privileged, and it's an honor for me to be able to help my mother, but not at the risk of her pride being tugged, because she was a single parent and she worked 2 or 3 jobs, and now she's having to rely on me. So I ask you, as being a part of the Wilkins family, please pass this ordinance. Thank you.
Regina is next, followed by Shayla.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Councilmen, and women. I'm a 71-year-old woman. I'm a beautiful 71-year-old woman. I'm blessed. I've seen and experienced housing difficulties. Even when I was on the housing voucher in the city of Phoenix, I had to fight to find a house for myself and my granddaughter. In 2021, October of 2021, I felt that I was going to be in a position where I needed somewhere to live. And in order to find somewhere to live, I was told that I would have to go to 12th Avenue and Madison just to get an emergency housing voucher. I can't do that. Older people like me cannot do that. You all have to help us. Do what is right to help us. We need you. We voted for you. Please help us. Don't put us in a position you would not want your parents or grandparents to be in. Please help us. Thank you.
Shayla is next, followed by Martha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shayla. I'm a healthcare worker. I work at a level 1 trauma center. And so I see the most critical patients, and I see also regular patients that come in as well. And I can say that a lot of homeless people come in just for shelter. And that's a big problem. And I don't mind, but I'm here to save lives, and it just breaks my heart when homeless people come in, and they should be able to have a safe place where they feel comfortable, where there's heat, because it's cold outside. I'm sure you wouldn't want to be outside right now sleeping. It's miserable. And so oftentimes they check themselves in night after night, day after day, because they don't have anywhere to go. And that's heartbreaking. Like plenty of other people said, this can be you one day, and I'm just asking that you just pass the bill so that when I go to work, I don't have to see that. I'm there to save lives. You know what I mean? And so that being said, I just ask that you just say yes, because one day this could be you. I know that you guys are in positions like this, but one day this could be you checking into the hospital because you have nowhere else to go. You should check into the hospital because you're ill and you need medical assistance. And that's just all I have to say. Thank you.
Martha is next, followed by Sharon.
Buenas tardes,
Good afternoon,
señora alcaldesa y miembros
Mayor and members
del
of the
Consejo.
council.
Mi nombre es Marta Espinosa, estoy a favor de la ordenanza.
My name
Yo
is
vivo
Marta
en el
Espinosa,
área de
and I'm
aquí
in
en
favor
Phoenix
of
desde
the
hace
ordinance.
24 años, tengo 4 hijos,
I
soy
have
madre
4
soltera,
kids. I'm a
trabajo
single mother.
de forma independiente. Y bueno, antes de la pandemia todos vivíamos muy tranquilos.
Disculpe, Martha, pause, por favor.
Me hace el favor de pausar para poder interpretarle, porque está hablando muy corrido y necesito interpretar.
Gracias.
Can we start over?
Yeah, we can start over. Otra vez.
Podemos empezar desde el principio, pero pare y déjame interpretar.
Gracias, perdón. Bueno, buenas tardes, señora alcaldesa y miembros del consejo.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council.
Mi nombre es Marta Espinosa y vivo en Phoenix desde hace 24 años.
My name is Marta Espinosa. I've been living in Phoenix for 24 years.
Aquí nacieron mis hijos y son 4.
My
2
children
de
were
ellos,
born
los
here.
menores, todavía viven conmigo. Soy una madre soltera, trabajo
There's
de
4
forma
of them.
independiente.
Momento. They still live with me, and I'm independent. I work. Okay.
Bueno, antes de la pandemia vivíamos muy tranquilos, pero las cosas han pasado conforme fue pasando la pandemia. Pues la
Momento.
renta...
The things were calm before the pandemic. We were going along, but things changed after the pandemic. Siga.
Pero la renta se elevó muchísimo y en mi vecindario hemos visto cómo muchas familias se han tenido que ir de su casa, les han pedido sus apartamentos.
Un momento. Rent has been extremely high. It keeps going high, and we've noticed how in our neighborhood, a lot of people have been asked to vacate their apartments.
Han sido desplazados porque la renta está fuera de control.
They've been displaced because the rent is out of control.
Muchos de ellos se fueron a vivir lejos de sus familiares o están cambiando de estado porque no pudieron mantener el paso de estas nuevas rentas.
Many had to move far away from their families. Some of them had to move to another state because they could not keep up with these rising rents.
Esto pasa porque los dueños, los propietarios de los apartamentos les dicen que solo van a remodelar o que desean vender su casa y desalojan a la gente de donde están rentando.
This has happened because the property owners of apartments and homes are telling them we're just going to remodel, but they end up raising the rents or selling the homes.
Es una forma de discriminar encubierta porque solo lo hacen por ganar más dinero. No es en realidad porque les van a remodelar y van a regresar las personas a sus viviendas.
It's a form of discrimination, a covered up discrimination, because they say they're just going to remodel the homes and then they're going to come back, but in turn, they end up selling the homes for a higher price.
En los apartamentos donde nosotros vivimos, mis vecinos y yo nos encargamos del mantenimiento por temor a que nos pase lo mismo. Por ejemplo, el año pasado se rompió el calentador del agua de mi apartamento y le pedí al dueño que checara qué estaba pasando y se enojó muchísimo y me contestó que sí lo iba a ver, pero me iba a aumentar en ese momento $100 más, porque como yo podía ver, en otros lugares la renta era más cara.
Un momento. So the apartments where we live, my neighbors and I take care of the maintenance of the apartments ourselves because we're afraid. Let me give you an example. My water heater broke. I told the owner to come and check it, and he got angry. He checked it, and he said, well, as of now, I'm going to raise your rent $100. ¿Siga?
Ajá. Esto me dijo haciéndome la aclaración que checara en otros lugares que la renta estaba muy cara comparada con lo que él me estaba cobrando a mí.
He was trying to make it clear to me that rents were a lot higher everywhere else than where I'm living now and what he's charging me.
Gracias, Marta.
Este tipo de injusticias pasan en nuestra comunidad. La comunidad es abusada por los propietarios porque no hay los derechos de inquilinos, no hay derechos para los inquilinos y los pocos que hay no son accesibles o no son muy conocidos. En Phoenix la tasa de desalojo es altísima porque la ley y las cortes siempre están del lado del propietario. no del pueblo.
So this type of abuse happens frequently a lot in Phoenix because there is not laws to protect the renters, and even if there are, we're unaware of them, don't have access to it. Siga.
Gracias, Marta. La próxima persona.
Gracias, Marta. Vamos a escuchar al siguiente discursante.
Gracias. Sharon is next, followed by Melissa.
Sharon sigue y luego Melissa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Yazzie, and I'm a native Navajo from Navajo tribe, and I'm very happy that I'm here, that I came to a place where I have hope. I'm alone because my husband passed in 2019, and he's the only one that took care of me, but I'm alone now, and I'm just so sad and suffer a lot and thinking sometimes I don't know what I'm doing or what to do or where to go because he's the one that took care of me. I have children, but they're all grown up and they're all on their own in different states, and I'm here alone in Phoenix, and it's very, very hard, and I just came to a place where the rent is a lot cheaper than wherever I went. I looked for one bedroom, even an apartment, but they're way over. And I even went to Access to get help. They only let me get $20 a month. What's $20 a month? I laugh about it, and the guy that was helping me says, "What's so funny?" I said, $20 a month? Maybe you picked up 2 or 3 or 4 items in the store. There's $20 right there. Everything is expensive. How do you expect me to go live on this? I tell them, and I'm Social Security and I'm disability, and everything is just so hard. And I'm listening to the people, and I didn't know who to turn to. I don't know what to do and everything. But I have a friend that said that we should come here. I didn't even know this was going on until I walked in. And I'm glad I did, because I want to let you know that there are people out there that really needs help. I feel for all the homeless, and I'm one of them. And I just hope that there's able that you could help me somehow, some way, because us low income and no place to go or anything like that, it's really hard. If you've never been there, you have to just think there are people that are there very hurting like I am. But I'm glad I'm alive, I'm here, and there's you people and this building and all that you could help us think about it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, and we're sorry for your loss. And we do have nonprofit partners who can help with housing and counseling resources. Melissa is next, followed by Xenia.
Hi, actually, I'm Sharon. I think there was a little interception there.
Sorry, Sharon.
That's okay.
Sharon is next, followed by Melissa.
Thank you for your time for us to be able to come here and speak. I am here to represent many others that are in my situation. I am disabled from a stroke, from 2 strokes. I have been on the waiting list for 20 years. There are many of us who fall through the system and we don't get housing assistance. We become homeless. I was a single mom for 20 years, but now they're raised. So now I don't have the kind of housing assistance that I had when I had children. So now I find myself on SSI, limited income, that is not enough to even survive. So you have to either team up with somebody else or a group of other people. You have to be creative, or you're going to be on the streets. There's a lot who can't be creative, and they are on the streets. I have found myself in the position now at 60 as being a gypsy. I volunteer my services as a caregiver. I can't receive income because I'm not allowed to make anything more than $80 a month, or I get deducted $1 for dollar. My total SSI income is only $890. There's nowhere I can go, no place. When I had children, I had opportunities, but now I'm on my own. The caregiving that I do now, with couch surfing, one of the places that I work at, volunteer at, is a care facility. They just raised the rent there, $350. A lot of the elderly people there are on limited income, and they're having to move out. The person that I help volunteer for, in order to be, I can only be there as a caregiver for 3 days a week, so there's me a guaranteed place 3 nights a week and days. But in order to help him keep his place, I'm contributing. In order to contribute, I'm door dashing and I work at the farmer's market. I do whatever I can, wherever I can. Passing this ordinance will help us to be able, those of us who can't come up with 2 times the rent or even the amount of rent that's being offered. This ordinance will bring the housing down to those of us who have a set income, and we could pay what percentage towards our housing and still be able to pay towards our cost of living.
Thank you so much for that important testimony. Melissa is next, followed by Xenia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melissa Herrera, and I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Fuerte Arts Movement and a First Generation Arizonan. We are here today with the Rent is Too High campaign to stand in solidarity with Unemployed Workers United. Arizona and its communities have been facing a housing crisis for many years, and it is time to find real solutions. My family came here to give me and my sister a more sustainable life. However, as a child, I experienced countless times the struggles of being in a low-income household and the limitations and obstacles that this added to my daily life. Witnessing my father working more than 50 hours a week to barely cover rent and other basic expenses, the struggles that plagued my family then are my struggles now. We live in a society where it is hard to afford rent, even when you are already working a full-time job. I am able to get by paying for my 1-bedroom apartment here in Phoenix and have just enough left over for groceries and other basic needs. We know there is a problem when I'm considered one of the lucky ones. When was living paycheck to paycheck ever considered being lucky? This and other inadequate living situations continue to be the reality for many families in Arizona. The rent is too high. We have heard our community's stories, and we all need solutions. Rent control measures, the end of source of income discrimination, rental assistance, and other tenant protections at the local, state, and federal levels. Today, we urge our city council members to be with the people of Phoenix. Vote yes to be able to provide immediate relief to hundreds of families that are struggling. Vote yes to be able to provide these families with a better future. Vote yes so that this can pave the way for housing justice. Vote yes because rent is too high. Thank you.
Xenia is next, followed by Carla. Okay. Carla is next, followed by Matthew.
Hello and good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Carla Naranjo, and I'm the Phoenix Campaign Coordinator for Unemployed Workers United. We are here today in community to urge you to please vote yes on item 100 to stop and prohibit income source housing discrimination. Thank you to Councilwoman Garcia, Councilwoman Guardado, and Councilwoman Pastor for putting this memo on the agenda and putting this policy to a vote. We've also publicly released a letter of support to show the coalition of community-based organizations supporting this ordinance. And we thank the over 9 organizations who have signed on with us. I will be reading testimony on behalf of one of our worker committee members, Linda Coleman, who's unable to join us in person because she is an elder and facing health issues right now. However, she allowed me to share her story on her behalf today. Hi, my name is Linda Coleman, and I'm a resident of Phoenix. I currently live at Matthew Henson Senior Apartments, which is owned by the City of Phoenix. I've worked hard to retire and currently live off my Social Security benefits, so it's crucial I can find adequate housing. I was told my rent would decrease, but the opposite has come true. Right now, I get about $1,300 in Social Security benefits, but my rent is already $900. On top of paying rent, I still have to pay for car insurance, food, and other basic necessities. Since the pandemic, I've been on the brink of homelessness. I used to rely on some COVID assistance programs to help with rental and utility assistance, but those programs have now disappeared. I am now receiving pressure from property management to either vacate or face a lawsuit for overdue fees I cannot afford. If I cannot stay in my home, I have nowhere else to go. There are currently over 6,000 pending applications for senior housing in the city of Phoenix. Where would a 67-year-old homeless woman go? Shelters are full and only provide temporary housing. My only option would be public parks and benches. I have a few friends of mine already on the street, and I'm fighting to make sure this doesn't continue happening in our community. We need to provide more tenant protections for our most vulnerable to increase their access to housing, and we need to vote yes to stop source of income discrimination. Thank you.
Matthew is next, followed by Dominic. All right, Dominic is next, followed by Bailey.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Council. My name is Dominic Medina. I am a community organizer and artist living in Phoenix, Arizona. My family has been in Phoenix for at least 4 generations and in St. John's for 4 generations before that. So, you know, we have a huge family here in Arizona. Over my life, I have seen different family members take advantage of Section 8 to make ends meet. And the one thing that they always said when they were on the program is they couldn't wait to get out of the program. They were working really hard to get out of the program. I couldn't imagine them living here now on those programs when people are simply making it impossible for the program to be successful. These programs are really hard to qualify for, and it doesn't make any sense for us to allow people to intentionally discriminate against folks who are in these programs. I would like to see the council vote yes on this provision. Thank you.
Bailey is next, followed by Zakia.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. My name is Bailey Maddox, and I'm here along with everyone else to tell you you must vote yes on this ordinance. I'm fortunate enough to have yet to experience the kind of discrimination we're fighting against, so I will share the experience of a friend who could not be here today. She's an Indigenous single mother of 2 kids, and when I met her, she was working 3 jobs. At first, she thought it was funny that I was so shocked to hear that, like it should be obvious. By the time she finished telling me everything that put her in that situation, she was crying. Monthly rent for the last place she was living in was at over $2,000. She was splitting the cost with a roommate, but then he lost his job. With what little money they made, the 2 of them had just enough to pay rent and put gas in her car, leaving her with next to nothing to feed and clothe herself and her kids with, and certainly nothing to pay for the rest of life's demands. Rental assistance was out of the question because the place she was living in would turn her away if she was on it. She worked as much as she could to keep up with rent. When she applied for any support like access and food stamps, she was told she made too much. She made too much money to eat, too much to see a doctor, but only just barely enough to pay rent, all because her landlord could throw her out for relying on rental assistance. At this point, she was crying. She worked so much she rarely saw her kids. Her roommate left, she lost her apartment, and she started living out of her car. She lost her higher paying job, and the job we worked together cut her hours. The last time we talked, she was still back and forth between an apartment she couldn't afford and her car, and she was seeing her kids, the two people in the world keeping her going, once or twice a month. Unfortunately, her story is not unique. It's a story of how the powers that be allowed landlords and developers to make their citizens homeless. But everyone here is telling you you can impact how the story goes by voting yes on this ordinance.
Thank you. Zakia is next, followed by Sebastian.
Good afternoon. My name is Zakia Johnson, and it is so nice to meet you all and see all of the people who care about our city. Y'all play a key role in this to enact the change we all desperately and obviously want to see happen. I'm a movement artist, activist, and Baha'i. I've been involved with organizing middle schoolers for 8 years now. I started when I was 17. I'm here to share the impact that this housing ordinance has on sustainable community building efforts that the world at large is participating in, but also Phoenix. Phoenix has many groups of middle schoolers in neighborhoods across Phoenix consulting on a regular basis, reading the reality of their community, and contributing to its betterment. These groups are special because these young people are capable of understanding the nature of a process and systematic action in the context of their communities. It takes time to develop bonds with the people you are working alongside. How are we supposed to teach the younger generation process when they are constantly having to start over? Profound change happens over a span of 3 to 5 years that these youngsters are in the program, as you can imagine. We develop capacity to read our reality at greater and greater heights. Projects complexify, and real change occurs as these middle schoolers, so 12 to 15-year-olds, become catalysts of the neighborhoods that they reside in Phoenix. Broadway and 48th, there's one of these processes underway that I'm a part of. And the negative social forces are becoming more and more obvious. The most dedicated community members dramatically decreased in size due to evictions, displacing community. And when people are displaced and can't find housing, as someone with government assistance, if they can't find housing around the neighborhood they reside in, that eviction tears communities apart. And so everyone has a part to play, including all of you guys. These pockets of intense community building activity radiate positive, sustainable change. We're united in our aspirations and unified in our methods. This ordinance will give us a chance to not continually traumatize this community building process over and over again, okay? So please pass this ordinance. No one should be denied a home for receiving government assistance. We are trying to build up a new future, not tear it apart.
Sebastian is next, followed by Brianna.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor Gallego and City Council members. Thank you for addressing this agenda item today. I'm here in favor to support banning source of income discrimination in the city of Phoenix. I just want to address, Linda came up first, and she was speaking on the conditions that she faces in her apartment complex, managed by Dunlap and McGee, who is a terrible company, right? And she was talking about that because she is right now, and many of our seniors, forced to stay in apartments that don't recognize maintenance issues, don't recognize their personal financial situations, and very commonly throw them out, demand more fees, demand this and that, and they are stuck in these apartments. They can't go and just easily find a place like many of us can because they are on a fixed income. And that's how Linda's story ties into the source of income discrimination that we're facing. So I just wanted to clear that. And also, I want to address the point that the realtors are really, coincidentally this very day, today, asking you all to address. But even the realtors agree, this ordinance is needed to prevent discriminations against renters. That's in their letter. The only reason they give this letter is to delay this important vote to a technical problem, how the ordinance can, apply to a loan or blah, blah, blah. When all of your lawyers reviewed this language, so did they in Tucson. So did they in over 20 other states and many more cities that have passed this ordinance. So I just want to call BS on that point, and let's get back to the real issue. People can't find housing, and we need to pass this. I am really happy to be working with you today to pass protections for renters. And yeah, I hope you vote yes on this. Thank you so much.
Brianna is next, followed by Dana Burns.
First of all, I would like to acknowledge how expedited the city has been on this ordinance. We came to you a month ago and we're here today, hopefully with a vote to make this pass. What we heard today was many stories from community members, and the reality is banning income discrimination in housing is not just about protecting those that rely on our voucher programs. It's about upholding the fundamental rights and allowing everybody to succeed. This legislation helps those living with disabilities, veterans, young adults, children aging out of the foster system, and many people in my community living with HIV and AIDS. It gives them an opportunity to succeed. Stable housing is important for the success and mental well-being of all of our community members. Additionally, this ordinance has long-term benefits for children living in poverty and expands their range of neighborhoods so they can increase and have stability. And most importantly, this legislation also plays a huge part in desegregating our neighborhoods by making quality housing stock accessible to those who need it. I urge you today to vote yes on this ordinance. This is a human rights issue. You each were elected to serve the people. This isn't a Democratic thing. This isn't a Republican thing. This isn't an independent, Green Party, or somebody that doesn't even participate in the electoral process. This is a human rights issue. Let us act with the urgency that this moment demands and place this ordinance on the board today. In our law, let's protect our people and take additional measures above this, next and beyond. Thank you.
Dana, the floor is yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, big mouth. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's a wonderful Wednesday. And of course, you all know I am in support of this fair housing ordinance, especially for my grand gems that I serve. And I'm speaking to you today on behalf of a few of them. Basically, some are telling me that they had to renew their lease just yesterday and their rent went up by $140, while some of them for $1,200 SSI amount that they receive, and the rent is $1,081, and this is in a senior citizen apartment community. One stated they only have $3 left after paying their rent. Many have stated that their apartment community have gone from int-based and now use the word affordable so they can do these increases, whereas their incomes remain the same, and they feel it's not fair. Two of the seniors, after being on Section 8 for 10 plus years, have lost their vouchers because they couldn't find a place to stay. That's not their fault. We in the city, I said here too, we took that away from them. And these are few who are now suffering because they don't have the money or enough money to pay their rent. One of them right now is in the hospital fighting COVID, worried about where he's going to get money from. I already sent to Carlos Garcia's office telling him about this lady. She needs some help ASAP. I believe all of us have someone in our family, or we know someone that's been negatively affected or discriminated against when it comes to their source of income. Needless to say, I'm in support of the Fair Housing Ordinance, and I pray that you all vote yes today.
Thank you. Dana is our final public speaker. We'll go to a big supporter of this, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much to everyone who came in to comment today. I very much want to thank the Unemployed Workers United and the many, many groups who are here today organizing around this important issue and advocating directly to Council to have this policy prioritized. Your advocacy has made all of the difference. We need to be doing everything in our power to ensure that our residents have access to adequate housing and that they are actually able to utilize the programs that are intended to help them, like Section 8, disability, and others. Low-income Phoenicians should not have to wait 3 to 5 years on a Section 8 voucher wait list only to be turned away from using that very voucher. The city of Phoenix, which is in the middle of a housing affordability crisis, currently has over 15,000 residents on that wait list. It's a shame that members of our state legislature not only try to tie cities' hands when it comes to protecting these civil rights, but actively seek out ways to protect the most predatory of landlords. Blocking important policy like the source of income ordinance is what they waste their time on instead of actively working to increase our affordable housing stock, pass inclusionary zoning, or allow cities to implement any form of rent control. It's time for the legislature to do its job so that Phoenix can do our job to guarantee housing affordability. I'm very glad that we are considering this ordinance today. It's taken longer than it should have. I will be supporting the secondary motion. I think our city staff has worked long and hard on this. We've been looking at this for many months. We've had our city attorneys look at it. And as it's worded, it is, there's already going to be a delay in implementation until we wait for the Attorney General. So I feel very strongly that we should pass the ordinance as it was recommended to us today. Thank you.
We'll go to another big supporter, Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first, just want to say thank you to all of our speakers today. Thank you for having the courage and get up on that mic and speak and tell your vulnerable stories. Thank you for letting us all know everything that you guys go through every single day. I can totally understand what you guys are talking about. Ms. Wilkins, I see you. I see you. I see my mom in you, and I definitely understand. So with that, I just would like to say, as Councilwoman Pastor, Councilmember Garcia, and I said in our letter to add this item to today's agenda, discrimination has no place in the city of Phoenix. With today's policy against source of income discrimination in housing, we are taking another important step to make this belief a reality. Last year's ASU's Morrison Institute for Public Policy did a study on housing insecurity in Maricopa County. They found that the practice of informally disqualifying residents based on their source of income has been recognized as a barrier to housing security for those who need it the most, and a sorting mechanism that keeps lower income households from higher opportunity neighborhoods, perpetuating the cycle of insecurity. The civil rights movement of the 1960s brought us the Fair Housing Act, preventing discrimination in housing at the federal level. I have been fighting against discrimination since my first job in a hotel, where I applied to be a front desk agent, and I was told that I belonged in housekeeping. And I decided to take that as a challenge and work my way up, and put myself in positions and in places where it makes other people uncomfortable, such as I am today. What we are doing today is not new. We know that dozens of states and over 100 municipalities now prohibit housing discrimination on legal sources of income, and that these policies have been shown to increase a household's ability to find housing in Arizona. Thanks to the courageous leadership of Mayor Regina Romero, the city of Tucson has already passed similar protections. That is exactly what we are doing today, passing a concrete policy that protects the ability of residents to find and maintain housing. These residents may be veterans using Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing or VASH vouchers. They may be foster parents using foster care subsidies. They may be seniors using Social Security or disability insurance. They may be working families that have waited years to finally receive a housing choice voucher. These Phoenix residents, our friends, our neighbors, our heroes, our elders, will now be protected from discrimination so they can find and maintain housing. This is a victory for them, and it is a victory for our city. And now I would like to personally thank Councilmember Garcia and his team for their work leading this important effort. I have known Councilmember Garcia for a very long time, and I know that his work to get this historic policy passed is part of his decades of fighting against those that profit or accumulate power by dividing and discriminating against working families. And that's what we got elected to do. We got elected to fight for all of you. We got elected to bring everyone together to build a city that works for everyone, not just one part of our city. Thank you all once again for being here today and telling us your stories. And today is a great day for Phoenix, and I am proud to be supporting this item. Thank you, Mayor.
We'll go to Councilman Stark and then Councilman DeCiccio, and then Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. I will tell you, I received my first Social Security check. I cannot imagine if that was your only source of income. This ordinance is necessary. We have to help people. But I must also say thank you to Councilman DeCiccio. I can't believe I'm complimenting you. Remember this moment, folks. But it's very rare, yeah. When I was planning director, we used to talk about these kinds of issues. This has been a passion of the councilman. As a matter of fact, I know when the legislator who decided that he didn't like what Tucson was doing, this man went and said, please, please don't do that. Let's give it a try. Let's help out Tucson. So I thank you for that, because that took courage, because that was your party. And I really appreciate what you went through for that. And I think it's the right thing to do. I made the second for your motion, Sal, but I think I'm going to go with the second motion as well. I think, again, our staff has worked long and hard on this. I know there are federal regulations that oversee mortgages, and so I think we can work through those with the federal government and with realtors. I know it's remarkable that you got the realtors to agree to what you wanted to do, and that's another thing. I applaud you on that, but I think I am going to stick with the second motion, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you for all your work to improve our housing supply. Councilman DeCiccio, and then we'll go to Councilwoman
Thank
Pastor.
you, Mayor. So I gave the realtors my word that with the word buyer in there that I would not support it, so I can't. I gave my word. I was going to keep it that way. But this came up, over 2 years ago. I started seeing what was happening nationally. There were things happening in Indiana and other places, and I saw it happen, and I'll explain what occurred there too. And what brought me to help push this thing through was that I started reading about this, and I started bringing it up to the staff and council and others. I said, hey, look, this is kind of what's happening out there. It's a type of institutionalized racism, which people know I don't use the race card. I just do not use it unless I believe it's true. And I looked at it more when it came to dealing with homeowners associations where they create these deed restrictions Deed restrictions are created to keep people out, not to keep people in. It just is what it is. Carlos taught me that about over a year ago. I didn't believe it at first, but then I started seeing it, and I do believe it from what I saw personally myself. So I live in a community that is probably more liberal, and with some conservatives in there too, and it's all white, and they still want to keep it that way. So it's not a party line thing, for sure. It really crosses all parties, whether you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. People want to keep it that way. And I saw this in my own community, and I was shocked by it. I mean, and extremely bothered by it. I mean, I live in a mixed household myself, and I feel very strong about it, that it's, diversity does improve your community. It just does. It's, it's an important factor in our lives. You want to have as many people around you that have differing viewpoints, different ideas, different looks. You want people to have different looks. So, I saw this, I witnessed it for myself. I would not have believed it had I not seen it for my own work, myself. Okay, I just wouldn't have believed it. But so it's a type of institutionalized racism that I have strong concerns over. The other is for the Multi-Housing Association. This city has done more for multi-housing than I think any city in the state of Arizona. I don't think that there's a single case that we've turned down. They receive GIPLETs, they receive variances. I mean, we have been very good to them. And for them to come out and say over something like this, that they're willing to sue the city of Phoenix is a disgrace. After all the things that were provided to them and all the help that they've received throughout the many years, I would be embarrassed if I were them to threaten to sue the city of Phoenix after what we've done for them over the years and taken the lead on. And there's some stuff happening at the state legislature because what other cities have done, not because of us, but what other cities have done. So I would ask them to reconsider what they're looking to do to sue the city. There's really no need for it. It's unnecessary, and it just creates a lot more animosity that's not even necessary. A lot of these Class A buildings that they're building right now are so far out of reach out of the common person anyways that they're likely not going to have a Section 8 voucher go in there. It just won't happen. So my plea to and I know you're watching, to you, don't embarrass yourself. You have a great partnership here. There's no reason for you to do that. For those of you, there's just really no reason. It's just completely unnecessary. So I won't be supporting the actual motion because I gave my word on the word buyer, and let me explain why that's critical, and I don't want to take up a lot of time. But the buyers in particular they're the lending institutions, and I know the federal government trumps, maybe that's not a good word, but it does trump the city. But by taking the word buyer out of it, it reduces the confusion that you would get when you have to go get a loan. Lenders require seasoning. That means they want to see it consistent, and they require stability. That means they want to make sure you're going to get that forever, right? For a long period, at least 2 to 3 years is what they want to see. And if you're just getting a Section 8 voucher or you're just originally on Social Security, they cannot show that you're going to get that for that period of time. Social Security, they can. But other types of government income, they can't show you're going to get it for 2 to 3 years in a row. Can't do it. And so that's why lenders won't use that. And that's where the confusion lays. But I do believe that the federal government, the lenders do, outweigh what the city would do, but it just creates confusion for a buyer to be able to go in and say, wait a second, the city of Phoenix has this ordinance that says that you can't discriminate against it, when in fact lenders can, because they don't have the right type of timing in there and that they're required to get it for that period of time. So congratulations for those that are passing it through. It needs to happen. No one should ever be dictated by where they live. People should have a right to be able to have mobility. The issue that we've seen deals with housing, rental housing, people being able to get in. And if you're not able to get into a community, you are locked out. And individuals should never be locked out. I grew up really poor. My family did everything they could to keep moving us, and God bless them. I cannot believe how hard they worked just to make a better life for me. But they were constantly figuring out where's the best place, what kind of schools could my kids get into. And a lot of individuals that are poor, and people of color in particular, are locked out of certain areas. They just are, because they're, either it's an affordability issue, or you've got this institutionalized type of programming in place that does not allow them in there. And I think that's just sick, personally. I think people should have the ability, freedom, to be able to go into those communities that they want to move into. And that's how God made us. They gave us the free will to be able to move. So, Mayor, congratulations, and others, and Carlos, and Laura, and Betty, and whoever else is here. Congratulations on getting this thing to its time to get through. Thank you.
Thank you. It's certainly a credit to you for being the first to put this on the agenda. It's been a neat experience with housing policy at the City of Phoenix. Part of the reason we spent so much of our federal dollars on housing was every single member of the council said this is a priority, this is where we need to be putting resource and dollars, and I hope people feel good about the ability to work together on something so essential as housing. We'll go next to Councilman Pastor, then Councilman O'Brien, then Councilmember Garcia, and if Councilmember Waring wants to say anything, we'll go to him after that.
Well, this has been a long journey to get here. And what I want to do is appreciate those that have shown up to make this move to where it is today. So great gratitude to you. I have plenty to say, but before I say my words, I have questions first, because I want them on the record and so that the audience and constituency knows. Today, once we pass this ordinance, my understanding is that it goes into a 30-day wait period.
Mayor and Council, that is correct. So all of our ordinance have a 30-day waiting after signature.
Okay. And then I'm hoping within those 30 days that the AG's opinion comes out, because then then we can activate the ordinance. Am I correct?
So, Mayor and Council, the way the motion was made, we would have to get a letter back from the Attorney General.
Correct.
And then, obviously, any other disputes as to that letter would have to be resolved before we would be able to move forward. If the letter does not clearly address this issue, then we might need to come back if there were any revisions that needed to be made to the ordinance, or if we had any questions about the ordinance.
Okay. But as we go through that process, we have the ordinance. It's not delayed. We do what we need to do, and we can move on the ordinance, is what my understanding is. With these pieces of obstacles or challenges, but we can still, there's an ordinance on the book that then can get activated.
Mayor, members of the council, not to play attorney, but just to clarify that I understand, and I want to make sure that everybody also on the record understands what I think Julie was saying. Barring no additional challenges from anyone to whatever Attorney General Chris Mays does, we have an active ordinance on the books. If she changes nothing and says our ordinance is okay, then it could be enforceable after that 30-day period. However, we also believe that Speaker Toma plans to possibly challenge whatever she does. If that were to happen, this ordinance would still sit kind of in limbo until all of those illegal issues work themselves out.
Right, so once the legal issues are worked out, we have an active ordinance, and then we can go.
Unless we have to make changes to that ordinance, yes.
Okay, thank you. What I don't want to happen is that after we go through all these obstacles, is that we don't have the capacity to do it or enforce it. So I would like to know, because I have been briefed that there's the possibility that we don't have the capacity and to enforce it. And so my question I don't know if we have to, I know it's a passage of an ordinance, or we need to come back to then say we would like to add funding for staffing in order for this to be active and enforced.
Mayor, members of the council, to that point, I don't think we really know whether or not we truly have enough staff. I think that's based on anecdotal information. We think we probably would need staff, but I would say we probably need to reserve judgment on that decision until we get into it and see what the volume of the complaints and the investigations would be. That is something that if we do need staff, what I would do at the time that this ordinance comes into effect, I would add temporary staff.
Okay.
I can create temporary positions. And as we evaluate the volume of need, I could bring that back to council to turn those positions and any additional positions that would be needed into regular positions.
Okay, thank you, because that was one of my biggest concerns. What I have to say is, in order to get here, it's taken 2 e-sessions, 1 letter, a 3-person memo, and then we got here. It's taken a 2-year conversation, as Councilman DeCiccio and Councilman Garcia had the conversation and brought the issue to us, and it has taken this long, as you can see how we move. But I also want to thank Vice Mayor Ansari and Aaron from her office, because they were also speaking about source income, and in our e-sessions, you saw the end result that 8 people signed a letter on what we need to do and how we need to do it, and a letter very pushing the AG to act upon this. But what really struck me the most to get to where we are today, and I'm going to read the last line that was in the 8-person memo. So you have 8 people up here saying, yes, this is what we want to do. The last line says, allowing the denial of tenants based on their source of income goes against the fundamental civil rights to fair housing. What I want to change to is the human right, because I heard you, Brianna, and it is a human right. So it will be very telling, so watch the vote and see how it plays out, because it's going to be very telling. Because at the end of the day, Tucson wrote an ordinance. We followed that ordinance. All of a sudden today, there's an issue with the ordinance. And what I want to tell you, at the end of the day, this is the people's ordinance and not the realtor's ordinance. And it is basic, fundamental rights that this council represents and should vote on. So the vote will be very telling.
Councilwoman O'Brien, followed by Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Could we have Titus join us at the table? I have a few questions for him.
Perfect. And Titus Matthews is our housing director.
Thank you. Thank you, Titus. Under the source of income definition in this ordinance, it lists a variety of things for renters and buyers. But I'd like some clarification on the City of Phoenix rental assistance. Can it be applied to purchase a home?
Mayor, members of the council, just to make sure I understand your question, are you talking specifically about the Section 8 vouchers?
Yes.
The Section 8 vouchers cannot be used to purchase a home.
Are there any City of Phoenix rental assistance dollars that can be used to help buy a home or pay a mortgage?
Not specific to Section 8.
Okay, but do we have other rental assistance programs?
There's down payment assistance programs we have.
A down payment assistance program that is specifically for that. Is there clarification?
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, just to clarify, I believe that the emergency rental assistance program funds, as well as some other home ARPA funds, might be able to be used to cover mortgage for individuals that fell behind as a result of COVID.
Okay, so that would fall under the rental assistance program. Is there some?
I believe that we do
differentiation?
have stimulus funds that can be used to cover mortgage for individuals that are falling behind, but Gina can clarify. I may be speaking out of turn, but I know when we administered COVID, we did have some funds that were allowed to be used to cover rent payments as well, or mortgage as well as rent.
Mortgage payments.
And we'll welcome our Deputy City Manager.
Thank you.
Mayor, Councilwoman O'Brien, members of the council, specifically with respect to emergency rental assistance, that's for rentals. We do have ARPA funds that we also designated for rental assistance. We do have very limited funds, and we're very close to depleting the funds that are available. However, there is a fund, and we did not put funds specifically into mortgage assistance because the state has a very robust program that allows for assistance with people who are behind in their mortgage specifically. For as far as funds that can go towards the purchase of a home, we did, that was mentioned that we have a down payment assistance program that will assist people who are ready to buy a home.
Okay, but the assistance we did have assistance for mortgages, or we did not because of the state?
I believe under CRF we did, but I can
It's
confirm
done.
that. Yes, CRF is expended fully.
Okay, and I thank you for those clarifications. I signed the letter that Vice Mayor Ansari wrote, along with my other colleagues. I would respectfully request that Councilmember Garcia accept a friendly amendment to have a source of income definition for buyer and a source of income definition for a renter, so that there is clarity in assuring we know what we are expecting for home buyers and for landlords, and that could be easily done by removing just a couple of words in the paragraph as it sits for a buyer, and then leaving it all in for a rentor.
Sorry. I think as is, attorneys have checked it, both Tucson and our attorneys, and so I think the ordinance as is does what it's meant to do, and I don't think that confusion exists. I understand the issues that were brought up today in the letter that's been mentioned by folks, but I think the ordinance stands as is.
So while I do think that the current language does allow for some gray area and lack of clarity and potential lawsuits, and understand their concerns, I do support this, and I will vote yes, but I do want it on the record that I do think that this city council still has some work to do with the language, so that, because words matter, and if we open up a group of people or two types of different agencies, are people who do loans and realtors, to potential lawsuits that they will have to fight because we have written vague language, that concerns me. However, I will be supporting today's source of income ordinance. Thank you.
Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all so much for being here. Ms. Linda, Ms. Kimberly, I know it's a long meeting, it's even long for us, but appreciate you all being here and sharing your stories. I won't repeat a lot of what my colleagues said. I think I'm very proud to support this ordinance to make sure that residents will not be discriminated based on the income source. It would impact about 800 voucher holders that we have as a city. You know, and some of the stories as we've done this work, and others have mentioned that we've been able to use some relief funds to support folks who are unsheltered. We've ran into this organically, and Gina's team and Scott's team and others, as they've tried to support folks, whether it's at the new 28th Street and Washington shelter, we're running into this issue, and so it's prohibiting even the city from supporting folks. And I'm glad, Sal, you brought up that conversation, and I also appreciate the fact that it didn't fall on deaf ears. Sometimes it feels like that when we're having those types of conversations, but just as I remember that conversation, it was speaking to institutionalized and systemic racism, and I was trying to talk to how, you know, at one point we had overt segregation, then we had redlining, and then we had situations where HOAs essentially found loopholes, and, you know, associations or, you know, there's a loophole like the one we're closing today that still allow discrimination. And so I'm really proud to support this today. Thankful to my colleagues and extremely thankful for everyone who shared their story and worked so hard to get us here. The one other request I would have for staff, and I understand we're going to be waiting, and hopefully new Attorney General Chris Mazak soon, would be to make sure that our staff or our communications department will be able to relate to community and anyone that needs to hear this, that the City of Phoenix will no longer tolerate discrimination when it comes to income source. So thank you all so much. I'll be supporting this measure.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
I have a clarifying question. Your substitute motion included a delay of implementation until we heard from the Attorney General and all legal action was resolved, correct?
That's correct. My substitute motion was the staff recommendation.
Okay. And then, and I apologize that I also forgot to thank Councilman DeCiccio, who brought this to me shortly after I was sworn in back in April of 21. So this conversation has been going on for some time. So, you know, I'm glad we are here today, and thank you for your hard work on it.
Councilman DeCiccio.
Oh, and just to Carlos, were you going to put the words "if necessary" at the end of that, so that they may not be necessary for this to come back if everything passes?
And I thought the question from Councilwoman O'Brien directly to Jeff answered that, so I didn't feel like there was a need.
Does
Jeff,
it need to?
Do you feel that there's a need for it to be brought back here if necessary, or the way you explained it to Councilwoman O'Brien made sense to me, where it just got enacted?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, Mayor, members of council, if all goes, let's just say the Attorney General reverses the decision and blesses our ordinance as you guys adopted today, I don't think we need to come back. Okay. I think if she does something in her decision or in her recommendation that prompts us to require changes to the ordinance that you guys are considering today, we would have to come back. So I don't know that I necessarily need the language if necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's worked on this, including people who shared difficult personal stories about the complexities and the need to find great affordable housing. We really appreciate your work on this. Several people brought up questions related to the supply of housing, and I think it's important for people to know there's several complementary things the city is doing that will help address that area. Several people talked about landlords not wanting vouchers. A unique thing that Director Matthew has been doing is something called project-basing vouchers, where we take particularly Section 8 vouchers and provide them to someone who wants Section 8 tenants, who can then go out and build new supply. We're seeing it being difficult to finance affordable housing, and that support from the city gives them an additional tool to make those projects work so that we can expand the supply. Those are people who are often very much driven by a social impact mission. They want to address the housing supply challenges, and so that's a financing tool that says we're working with people who want to take Section 8 vouchers. And we've had partners who have done really wonderful things, including providing Head Start right on site so parents can basically roll out of bed and get their kids to a great program that'll invest in their future. We have partners who put counseling, substance abuse support right on site. So they're really trying to create communities that help people thrive in Phoenix, and that has been wonderful. The city has several programs to help people with both rent and mortgage. I want to recognize the Industrial Development Authority for Phoenix that has down payment assistance. We're also working with our legislators on several tools at the state level. My office is working with Representative Quinones on a bill to provide homeowners who are buying their first home with down payment assistance, and we really appreciate the state working with us. The Arizona League of Cities is supporting 10 different policies to try to address these housing issues. So this is one step that we're going to take today, but it comes with a big picture where we are looking at workforce supply, demand, and services, and really trying to make a comprehensive plan in this area. The city has taken great partnership with the federal government. They have provided us with American Rescue Plan dollars, and we've used those in a variety of ways to increase supply. I want to recognize my colleagues. We've had several unanimous votes on new tools that many cities don't offer at all. So we are really looking at everything from housing trust to project-based vouchers to the vote we will take today on source of income discrimination. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach. We were recently recognized nationally for some of the work we're doing on container housing. We know that it's taken too long to get housing built, and now we have robots in Phoenix that are turning shipping containers into gorgeous projects that some NFL commentators said they would want to live in if they could while they were traveling for NFL events. So really high quality projects, and again, getting national attention for just trying a wide variety of important tools to get people that all-important roof over their heads. So with that, I think we are ready for a roll call on Councilmember Garcia's motion.
DeCiccio. Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
C, yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
That concludes the formal agendized portion of our meeting, and now we go to resident and citizen comments. We'll do a moment for people who are here for item 100 who would like to depart to have the opportunity to do so, and then I'll turn to our city attorney to explain the grand finale portion of the meeting.
Mayor, can I just say one thing? To the woman that's 70, I'm 2 years behind you. I hope I look as good as you do when I'm 70. I'm already jealous because I think she's got me better.
You're only 68?
Trip him for me.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I got my first Social Security check.
I'm trying to decide what I should do.
You know, I waited, and then I went to one of my HOA.
Good.
As much money.
So my question is, because I make pretty decent.
All right, I'll turn to our city attorney to explain citizen comment.
Thank you, Mayor. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the City Council for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The Arizona Open Meeting Law permits the City Council to listen to the comments but prohibits council members from discussing or acting on the matters presented. The citizen comment session is limited to 30 minutes.
Thank you. We'll begin with Beatrice, followed by Sheila.
That's why I support source of income.
I'm serious, it doesn't. I gave my word.
No, you did.
Good afternoon. My name is Beatrice Johnson. I am the sister of Dorothy Dale Chambers, who was killed April 22nd near Perry Park. I'm just going to read this. April 26, 22. At 8:04 p.m., Dorothy Dale Chambers and her companion, Joseph Gutierrez, were struck and killed by Nebraska Pekovic in Phoenix, Arizona. The initial responding officer to the scene gave Pekovic a sobriety test at 8:30 p.m. Pekovic failed several steps in the sobriety test. Pekovic claimed he did not drink any alcohol that night, but he blew an alcohol of .031. When asked why he had alcohol in his system, Pekovic said he had taken 2 doses of Dayquil earlier that day. The responding police officer wrote that Pekovic showed signs of impairment twice in the police report. Despite these alarming facts, Pekovic was not given a blood test or arrested. He was allowed to go home, and the body of my sister, Dorothy Dale Chambers, lay in the morgue for 8 days. Our family was never notified. It is unknown if the family of Joseph Gutierrez has ever been notified. Phoenix Police Detective Taryn Campbell never contacted the family of Dorothy Dale Chambers to inform them that their loved one was dead. The Phoenix Police Department has multiple databases for finding family members. Many of Dorothy's family are local to Phoenix. Her Arizona ID listed the address of her niece, Aura, who checked on her weekly, but no effort was made for Dorothy. Her family learned of her death during one of their weekly wellness checks at Perry Park. When her niece could not find her, a member of the park unsheltered community informed Aura that her Aunt Dorothy had been killed a week before. How is it that Phoenix Police Department failed to contact the victim's family? How was it that Pekovic was not arrested for killing 2 individuals, unsheltered, homeless human beings? The black box database Pekovic said that Pekovic was going 58 to 60 miles 5 seconds before impact. A witness stated Pekovic was zigzagging in and out of traffic, and several other witnesses said Pekovic was speeding. We can only assume that the Phoenix Police Department was negligent in this case. Why weren't there sufficient signs and lights to protect crossing pedestrians like Dorothy and Joseph? Could this case signify the neglect of black and brown and unsheltered people in Phoenix and throughout the country? These questions and many more are part of a growing cry for justice for Dorothy Dale Chambers and Joseph Gutierrez, as Dorothy Dale, her sister, and family continue to demand. Dorothy and Joseph were not throwaways. They deserve humanitarian aid in life and dignity in death. After significant pressure from the family, Nebraska Pekovic was scheduled to appear in court for arraignment on 2/7/2023. He was a no-show. And the Phoenix Police Department has been saying that they were going to arrest him, and they have not arrested him yet. We will keep coming back. Today I just got several friends, but I'll be bringing more. We want him arrested, and we want him held accountable for killing 2 individuals, which he should have been charged on April 22nd, 26th for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
We appreciate your testimony, and I will follow up with our police department and see if we can't do better. Councilmember Garcia.
So thank you, Beatrice, for once again bringing the issue. In our last Public Safety and Justice Subcommittee, we had a conversation about potentially having the conversation around victims' rights and some of the issues in the case, but echo the mayor's concerns and hope that the separate part about the police that they continue to communicate with. I know you spoke to the chief before, but I hope we can continue that communication and make sure that justice is served for your sister and her partner. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Sheila is next, followed by, I'm sorry for my pronunciation here, but Rafilwi?
First, I want to talk about the violence that is this building, space, and meeting. I had my bag physically searched by a cop, taking items out, and then had it go through a machine to scan the contents. They do not even do that at the airport. Send it through the machine and then have it searched if necessary. Then my name, address, phone number, and email address were all collected under a literal sign that says register to request to speak. Register is an interesting choice of words, but was truly appropriate here as you are quite literally creating a registry of all sorts of personal information and a list of what their concerns are. The question is, what else are you planning to do with that information? I've gone to many city council meetings across the country, and I will say this is one of the most draconian practices that I have seen, and trust that is saying nothing to be proud of. This is violent and anti-democratic. Request to speak. Request. This is the people's building. This is the people's meeting. But you clearly do not want the public to speak and engage, not only for the reasons I uplifted, but also for the fact that you're having this meeting at 2:30 p.m. on a Wednesday when most people are at work. You had a police chaplain give what was clearly a white Christian prayer during a public meeting and had people stand. When he and the police here and across the country go up against the very things that he uplifted. Then you go into the Pledge of Allegiance. How did y'all not choke on the words justice for all? Practically, particularly when we think about the press conference that just occurred outside regarding the police lawsuit against the Police Foundation, and considering the covering and blundering of the investigation of Dorothy Dale Chambers and her companion, Joseph Gutierrez, on April 26th of 2022. They were struck and killed by an aggressive drunk driver who is speeding excessively, going 58 to 60 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone while zigzagging in and out of traffic. He was not given a blood test or arrested, despite failing a field sobriety test and having a blood alcohol content, according to a breathalyzer, of 0.031. He was allowed to go home, but you know who wasn't? Dorothy Dale Chambers. She laid in a morgue for 8 days. Her sister, who I am honored to affectionately call Auntie B, is the auntie of Oscar Grant. I say that to drive home the violence that black folks consistently endure through the violent systems that never protect us, but always harm us. How is it that the Phoenix Police Department failed to contact the victim's family? How was it that this man was not arrested for killing 2 people? I don't care what their status was. They are people. Phoenix PD was negligent, point blank, period. Dorothy and Joseph were not throwaways, and they deserved dignity and they deserved services. After the significant pressure from the family, he was scheduled to appear and a warrant was issued, and yet he has still not been arrested. If he were to be a black man, he absolutely would have already been thrown under the jail.
Thank you. Raffaele is next, followed by
We demand that you execute a warrant so this family can begin to see some resemblance of justice, and we demand that there is some level of accountability for the multiple failures of the police department, including Karen Campbell, the investigator.
Greetings. My name is Raffaele. I'm from Oakland, California, and I'm with the Anti-Police Terror Project. I have been outraged to learn of the multiple systemic failings here in Phoenix that led to Dorothy Dale Chambers sitting in a morgue for 8 days without notice to her family about being tragically killed along with her partner, Joseph Gutierrez. I stand with her sister today, who is yet to seek justice for her family nearly a year later. Dorothy and her partner, Joseph, were beloved members of community. They were not disposable. They are not disposable. Yet they have been removed from the park along with their houseless community members at Perry Park, removed in a process we see all too often in California, in which the city that fails to house and adequately care for its community members instead sweeps them across encampments, further impacting our most vulnerable community members. Having removed the community at Perry Park, applied some fresh paint at the crosswalk, and even recently installed the long-needed traffic lights at the corner where Dorothy and Joseph were killed, has done more to actually erase the tragedy than truly give justice or ensure tragedy doesn't happen again. Housing is a human right. We demand an end to the sweeps and an implementation of a radar speed sign to curb the ongoing and unregulated speeding that happens too often near Perry Park. That someone could kill 2 people and walk away without so much as a blood test for alcohol is dangerous precedent for drunk drivers. We demand a warrant for Nobasha Petkovic be executed. We demand the Detective Taryn Campbell that failed to do due diligence and investigation and ensure Dorothy, who had ID with her, would be returned to her family with big dignity, be held accountable. We'll be back to demand this dignity after death and justice for her family.
Stephen will be our final speaker.
Beloved Mayor and Phoenix City Council, I'm lay brother Stephen Gerard Sedlowski. A very heartfelt and vibrant crowd today. I've listened. This is my first time speaking at your wonderful City Council. I have Bible bookmarks. I'm told somebody would bring them to you. Thank you. I'm delighted to let all the council members and the citizens of Phoenix to know that this past week we had a wonderful March for Life at the state capitol. It was very well attended. It was actually my first time enjoying and visiting the March for Life in Arizona. I happen to be a pro-life speaker on the new possibility of personhood. I have a flyer for all of you if you want to look at it later. I was able to visit your League of Cities while in town, and they informed me that you have 19 charter cities in the state of Arizona. So I'm delighted to be speaking to all of you because you probably all know that Phoenix itself has a city charter. With the United States Supreme Court making the decision last year to move in the new Dobbs era of law, we now have new possibilities for our city charters in the United States. If you care to look at another article that I have after the city council meeting, Lorain, Ohio actually developed the first language for personhood in the United States that you yourselves may eventually adopt down the road. If you happen to have a clinic that, for instance, does not preserve life here, I would encourage the mayor and the city council to consider to move in the new direction of personhood and help that particular clinic to become, for instance, an orphanage or an adoption agency. I believe that if you want to get me involved in that negotiation process, my MBA from Xavier University will also be very advantageous. I'm delighted to let you know that there are a lot of organizations here that are already helping women in crisis situations to say yes to their children. You should know that that's happening right here in your beautiful city of Phoenix. You have many balls to juggle, but I hope you will soon juggle the ball of becoming a future personhood city. And I would just like to sing the song on the Bible bookmark. Let the beating heart, let the beating heart show you there is life in the womb. Thank you, and God bless you all.
We are adjourned.
Concentration of universities creates a pipeline for talent and access to innovative entrepreneurs through universities and spin-outs of existing campus tenants. You also have access to researchers and physician scientists at the surrounding health systems and institutes of research excellence. To inspire this